As with all complex problems, there is not a simple single solution. We need to tackle unsustainability using a range of tactics and strategies. We need coordinated multiple actions that change behaviour, change actions, change attitudes, assumptions and habits, and provide sustainable options and opportunity and infrastructure. Packages of action that address the problems at all levels are required. Take, for example, how to reduce UK's transport carbon emissions to zero. Cycling and walking for half of our healthy minimum exercise per day can replace up to 10% of current driving. That's down to 90% of our current emissions. If we work at home 1 day a week and we adopt e-shopping, we'll minimise about 10% of car trips. We're now down to 80%. If we can decentralise local services, we can cut down the distance to travel. That will actually bring about a 20% reduction. We're now down to 60%. We can re-establish local town centres where services are co-located to facilitate multi-purpose trips. That will bring about another 20% reduction. We've now only got 40% left. If we can shift 40% of the trips from car to bus, that's us down to 30%. Increase occupancy of vehicles by a modest 50%, strips out another 10%. Improve average vehicle efficiency by 50%, which is actually a very low target. This cutbacks 10% of our emissions, and we currently have enough potential to produce renewable fuel for the remaining 13% of the carbon emissions. With good thinking and planning, all things can become doable. Current government policies seek to achieve environmental and social transformation through a number of measures, which are designed to bring about sustainable economy, a strong economy and a stable economy, which provide prosperity and opportunities for all, and in which the environmental and social costs fall on those who impose them, and efficient resource use is incentivised. We want to actively promote effective participative government at all levels of society, engaging people's creativity, energy and diversity, and ensuring that government policies are developed and implemented on the basis of strong, clear scientific evidence, taking account of scientific uncertainty as well as public attitudes and values. Examples of these policies include things like taxing the bad and subsidising the good. A fat tax like they've introduced in Denmark on unhealthy foods is then used to use this revenue to subsidise local food production, healthy options, subsidised prices and other initiatives like farmers' markets. As mentioned previously, we have considerable power of consumers. We are what we buy and we should buy less unsustainably. We can control how we distribute our money across the value chain. If you buy a Big Mac, most of your money heads back across the Atlantic to already super rich executives and investors. Or you can buy a homemade burger from a local cafe that employs staff employed on a living wage, buys from local producers and only buys fair trade products. This way, most of your money stays in the local economy and the producers, the people who do the work, are able to enjoy a much better standard of life. We need to be more thoughtful in our purchases and look beyond the price. We must consider the life cycle impacts of the products and services when purchasing. Even small purchases can make a major difference. Cheap products come at a price. They come at a cost to others. And we have a moral responsibility to consider these costs when we're buying things. Something as trivial as a bar of chocolate can make a difference. Cheap chocolate comes at a price. This price includes biodiversity loss, child labour, corruption, carbon emissions, hazardous pesticides, and crushing poverty in the developing world. Yet there are alternatives. Fair trade chocolate. Fair trade chocolate guarantees farmers long-term prices above the market rate, guarantees them fixed sales, cuts out corrupt local middlemen, Wall Street speculators, and distributes the profit earned more equitably. Fair trade products do cost more. For us, the difference is minuscule, but for the producers, it's life-changing. A 100-gram bar of chocolate, fair trade chocolate in a supermarket costs 20 to 30 pence more than an unfair trade chocolate. That's 0.3 pence a gram more, or 3 minutes work at UK minimum wage. 3 minutes effort to change the life of others and mitigate the ecological disaster caused by our desires. Coffee, another almost unconscious daily purchase, has fair trade alternative. Oxfam identified that coffee farmers get around 0.5% of the price of a jar of instant coffee. Paying 10 pence more per jar could double the farmer's income. That's 1 minute's work at minimum wage. Changing the world by eating and drinking different brands, that's not too hard a thing to do. Fair trade is a good example of how the market can be a cause of unsustainability and a potential solution. The market allows us to reward producers who do sustainable things and punish producers who don't, as long as the market is properly regulated and controlled. Unsustainability is also a major risk to businesses, and they need to consider the risks to them of their and others' unsustainable actions. These risks include rising commodity prices, changing tax regimes, access to secure, reliable energy and other resources, availability of quality workforce, reputational damage, customer boycotts, pressures from ethical investors, NGO scrutiny and campaign, rising transportation costs, business relocation due to rising sea level, and so on. Businesses are always adapting to changing circumstances and threats to their existence. It's what they do, and sustainability is no different than any other challenges to business. Transforming sustainably allows companies to future-proof their business. In order to transform sustainably, businesses need to harness their capabilities to innovate and add value. Businesses have the capacity, creativity, and resources to transform our world. Sustainability will have a major impact on product service design, distribution logistics, procurement practices, process redesign, marketing and pricing, whether businesses believe in sustainability or not. For business, it's mainly about doing more good with less resources, something that businesses excel at. Many businesses have embraced sustainability as an opportunity and re-engineered their business to align with sustainability kind of principles. Managers in businesses behave as though they have to choose between the social benefits of developing sustainably and the financial costs of doing so, but that's simply not true. A Harvard research study into sustainability initiatives of 30 large corporations shows that sustainability is the main driver of organizational and technological innovations that yield both bottom line and top line returns. Becoming environmentally friendly lowers costs because companies end up reducing the inputs they use. In addition, the processes generate additional revenues from better products or enables companies to create new businesses. In fact, these are the goals of corporate innovation anyway, and we find that smart companies now treat sustainability as innovation's new frontier. Examples of innovative companies are Interface, who revolutionized carpet manufacturing and sales, Patagonia, a US outdoor clothing manufacturer, and Untouched World, the first sustainable business, which is based in New Zealand and is about a clothing manufacturer. There's many, many more other examples of businesses that do that. In Scotland, we are making radical transformations in our energy production, building on a long history of hydropower, moving to wind power and subsea marine energy, sustainably harvesting our natural advantage in bad weather. A major driving force for change has come from the work of NGOs and campaign groups. The contribution of these groups, Friends of the Earth, Greenpeace, RSPB, WWF, Oxfam, ASH, in raising the awareness of the problems created by business and governments cannot be underestimated. Often these problems were denied by those in power, but the harm experienced by individuals was real. Without campaigners challenging the status quo, exposing the myths and assumptions, as well as providing workable, sensible solutions, we would be in a much worse situation than we are now. Resisting NGOs' campaign when there was reliable evidence of harm has proved to be extremely damaging to the reputations and profitability of businesses. The public has much greater trust in campaigning organisations than government and profit-seeking businesses. The role of a sustainability guard dog is essential to keep us on the right track. Whether individual, businesses or governments like them, the role of NGOs will be critical to any sustainable transformation. As I mentioned before, all of us are to blame for our unsustainability, and all of us have the potential to bring about change. Each individual, government, regulator, campaigner, business person has to play a part in this transition. There is a need for consensus, collective action. a need for challenge, critique, and creative conflict and tension. There are always going to be contested areas in any change process, and there will also be areas of consensus. Conflicts that create active debate, stakeholder engagement, mutual learning, research, dialogue, and action are essential parts of any sustainable change process. Universities and business schools also have a vital part to play in the sustainable transition. Sustainability is real. Sustainability requires new skills, new knowledge, and new management practices. Strathclyde Business School is a signatory to United Nations Principles for Responsible Management Education, PRIME, and as a kind of signatory of this, we kind of believe that every student should experience a business education that promotes development that is environmentally sound, socially equitable, culturally sensitive, and economically just. Learning at Strathclyde involves knowledge, action, engaging with others in order to build the capacity to make the world fairer and more sustainable. Courses at Strathclyde address the problems of our world caused by poor business practices and poor governance. As well as optimising students' employability, Strathclyde Business School attempts to prepare students to be resilient, responsible citizens, be able to adapt to change, recognise and solve complex problems, meet other cultures with respect, and try and create a peaceful and sustainable society. At Strathclyde, we allow undergraduates and postgraduate students to learn about unsustainable development and also learning for sustainable development. In our research programmes, we seek to produce sound scientific evidence about the unacceptable consequences of irresponsible organisational actions in both the private and the public sector. We do this in order to allow others to develop responsibly and sustainably. Sustainability is now regarded as an intrinsic part of any civilised society. Sustainability is at the core of a future world worth living in. A sustainable world is a better and equitable world. It's unsustainability that is the problem. What's threatening or problematic about building a strong, stable, sustainable economy? Providing prosperity and opportunities for all. Ensuring that environmental and social costs are paid by those who benefit from them. Incentivising efficient resource use, promoting effective participative systems of governance, and engaging people's creativity, energy, and diversity in governing their own communities. The unsustainable status quo cannot continue. We cannot continue to take more than our fair share. The cracks are already showing. Sustainability is a positive change. Sustainability is an essential change, and hopefully we have not left it too late. Thank you.